Hi everyone, and welcome to the Missionary Sports Podcast. So today being a very action-packed weekend with sport. Obviously we've got the Formula One that's happened. Obviously the Premier League. Most of the games are obviously finished this weekend. Obviously currently Villa versus Crystal Palace is on at the moment. Currently 3-0 to Crystal Palace, absolutely battering Aston Villa at the moment. Looks like Unai Emery has got a lot of work to do to try and get Villa back to where they were previously in the previous seasons. Talking about the Rochdale women's game today, which I was attended to. Brilliant game of football there. Also a bit about the Liverpool game, which was very entertaining. And a bit about the struggles of Manchester City at the moment. There's just a bit... Obviously, I want to address it and I want to discuss a bit because from being arguably the best team in England a couple of seasons ago, winning the treble and stuff, to now obviously sitting 13th in the league, I think it is, or what? I'm sorry, that might be wrong. 13th in the league. At the moment, just a big drop off there. So let's get into it. So, just checking there, 3-0 to Palace still. I mean, there's about 9 minutes left of the game, so still quite the game's gone really for Villa, but yeah, right. So let's get into it. So first, I just want to talk about the Rochdale women's game today. So I was attending to the game at the Crown Oil Arena. It was a brilliant game, very tight affair. There's definitely a lot of good football produced on the pitch, and yeah. So obviously the score was 2-1 to Rochdale women. Great goals by Sophie and who's got the second one? Well, I can't remember who scored the second goal. Well, the first goal, let's get into that. First goal by Sophie was a brilliant goal. Nice little assist by Lily Dale running down in the right back position. Having a little touch there and literally great little lob from Sophie. Brilliant goal, really, from where I was sat in the stand. Obviously, Rochdale did go 1-0 down quite early on, and it was quite a hard watch for the first couple of moments just because of how quick and how well how quick I can't even speak. How quick Otherton passed the ball around. They just basically kept walking through them in field. They was quite open. However, as soon as they kind of conceded, Rochdale did get closer and started to close down those passes quite quickly before then what they were doing previously. And obviously they managed to get the equaliser before half time, obviously, to get it 1-1. And then the second goal was quite good as well from a corner. Liv scored it. It was really good corner, a bit scrappy, and then it was just kind of like a flick on, I think it was, a little flick on header, which just found itself into the back of the net. Really good goal. Obviously, that made it 2-1 to Rochdale. And then throughout the game, really, there was quite a few chances for both sides, really. I know that, I think it's Scarlett on Otherton's team. They were literally feeding her the ball in all the time and she was having quite a few shots off at goal. The keeper today for Rochdale played very, very well. Good catching, good saves, just kept the ball moving really, really well. And also when, just to break down play as well, where she was a bit of time wasting, a bit of tactical management there, really good game management. I think as well, Rochdale at the end, they were quite, personally from what I was seeing, it looked quite tense, and obviously they weren't sure if that when the final whistle will come in. I think the referee played quite a lot of added time, but they played very well. They cleared the lines well. They stopped him from attacking, from getting shots off at goal in the latter stages of the game, and obviously kept it 2-1. Obviously, that was a great battle for them. Now they do go above Atherton to second in the league, or joint first. It was with their joint first with St Helens, who are obviously on top, but they haven't got a game in hand against Rochdale. And their goal difference is also significantly different. 15 clear of Rochdale. They are on 26, St Helens. So, I mean, Rochdale have got a bit of catching up to do if they want to get on the goal difference side. And also, when they come to play St Helens, they need to make sure that they beat them, or else obviously that gap will go to 3 points clear at the top of the table, and no one wants that to happen for Rochdale's perspective. I do also want to give a shout out to Gracie Smith. Great performance from her, and another girl as well, Lily Dale. I think both of them played it very, very well. Obviously, Lily coming on after about 12 to 13 minutes, she played very exceptionally. There was a lot of running down that right hand side from both of them, from Lily and Gracie. They were crossing balls in, taking on players. I mean, Gracie especially, she was taking on the left back for Atherton and basically had her on toast. Really, couldn't. She had nothing to do. There was, I think, I'm not sure. It looked like a little nutmeg on there. There was a little nutmeg in there, and I think that's what set one chance which could have gone in, but it was very unlucky. Also Lily Dale as well with the assist, a brilliant assist, like to get forward as well at right back, and just that little touch that she had. And then I think it was a first time pass just to give it to Sophie, and obviously Sophie, very, very great finish from her. I think also as well, a lot of set pieces that they were doing. See the set piece coach, I think Martin played. There's good high lines that Rochdale have been working on in training. You could see the difference when Otherton had free kicks, how tight the line was, and how they made sure that no one was really played onside, and how they kept the line really well. I thought that was brilliant. But yeah, well done obviously to Rochdale, joint top of the league. Hopefully that St Helens can have slip up somewhere so that they can get back into that title race or promotion race. And obviously I think the next fixture is in the FA Cup next weekend, next Sunday. I'm not too sure who they're playing. I think we'll find out midweek or so. But they played really well. I was really pleased with the way that they played, and obviously the atmosphere in the Crown Oil Arena was perfect. Like there was loads of fans supporting both sides. A lot of fans obviously supporting their players or their favourite players as well there. But yeah, really good game. Obviously 2-1 to Rochdale. Well done. Now just to move on to the F1. Obviously today, the Grand Prix of the Dutch for the Dutch Grand Prix. Brilliant race. Quite a lot of entertaining a lot of crashes, a lot of surprises, and obviously a surprise podium for the Hadjar. Isaac Hadjar, obviously, I was mentioned yesterday, had a brilliant qualifying to get himself into P4, I think it was. Yeah, P4. Brilliant quality, and he backed it up with a podium as well. I think he was a bit lucky as well, obviously, with the crashes to Leclerc, Hamilton, and Norris. Obviously, just heartbreak for Norris with obviously Piastri winning the Grand Prix. That means that Piastri is now has a 34-point lead over Norris with the Drivers' Championship. So obviously that gives him a huge advantage over Norris. I think now with the Drivers' Championship, it's going to be won by a McLaren driver. Both McLaren drivers look far from the rest. Obviously, it was very unfortunate for Leclerc and Norris to both go out, and especially Lewis Hamilton as well. Really, really disappointing there. However, I do think that Piastri had a very dominant race there. There wasn't much to really challenge him there. I think obviously Verstappen coming second, decent second place for him. Obviously brings that championship lead over George Russell to 21 points. Obviously that's the battle for third place in the championship. So McLaren are dominating the constructors championship. They're like almost 300 points clear. I think it is. Yeah, almost 300 points clear of Mercedes in second. So I think they've got that in the bag now with only a couple. I think they only need like 2 or 3 more races to secure that constructor championship. And even though mathematically other drivers can still win the drivers' championship, I do think that the drivers' championship is definitely over now, and it's going to be either one of the two papayas who win there. Obviously, did some heartbreak for Lewis Hamilton as well, and Lando Norris, especially with Oscar winning. I hopefully think that I hope Norris gets back to his best, and I hope that Norris does win the championship. Obviously, in Monza next week, fingers crossed it's a Lewis Hamilton win. Would be amazing. First win in Ferrari at Monza. Absolute absolute cinema if that would happen. Doubt that would happen though. I do think that it's going to be another McLaren win, probably a Norris win after coming a bounce back from obviously the disappointment today from getting a DNF. Just a quick one on the live football at the moment. There is 7 minutes added time. Palace still winning 3-0 against Aston Villa. Obviously, maybe Palace could get another goal, or it could be a consolation goal for Villa. You never know. I'll keep you updated, obviously, before that finishes. Well, that's the F1 there. So obviously, Piastri win, Norris out, Hamilton out, and then obviously a podium for Hadjar, which is brilliant to see. Next topic is going to be the Brighton versus Manchester City game. Brighton absolutely destroy Man City today. I was watching little bits of it whilst watching the Rochdale game today. Obviously, the game finished 2-1 to Brighton and Hove Albion. Brilliant performance from both of them. James Milner obviously scoring against his former club. A lot of City fans I know are very angry about that. And obviously celebrating how he did. I thought it was quite disrespectful from him, but obviously it's down to him at the end of the day what he wants to do when he's celebrating. Just City now losing that game. They're now 13th in the league. See, winning that 4-0 against Wolves, then getting battered off Spurs, and now getting battered off Brighton. And this is with Rodri in the team. And it's a very poor start from Man City standards. They should be top of the league, shouldn't, like from the expectations we've seen under Pep Guardiola. But 13th, lost 2 games, won 1, sitting on 3 points. United are ahead of them, and United have had a really bad season. So I don't know. I want to address this because I feel like in the media, we don't see Manchester City get criticised. And I know obviously Man United are a bigger club than Manchester City, so the more criticism is going to be on Manchester United. But why aren't people talking about Man City and how poorly they've been? Why are people just kind of like dismissing that? A lot of people are saying, obviously, having a say on Manchester United, where Manchester City are 13th, United are 9th. They're doing much better. Even though people say, "Oh, you lost to Grimsby," but it's only the Carabao Cup, and quite frankly, the Carabao Cup isn't as a bigger competition as the FA Cup or the Premier League or the Champions League. So really, I don't know why people aren't saying what's happened to Man City, why they're so low, why they're so bad with Rodri in the team. I think Manchester City they definitely need a new right back because you can't be playing Mateus Nunes, who's a centre mid at right back. I know Pep Guardiola can do special things on a football pitch, and when playing a false 9, Foden as a false 9 or whoever it may be, but I don't think it's working. People have figured it out. Pep Guardiola has unintentionally ruined football, and everyone wants to play this sideways football, passing it through, little tiki-taka football, and everyone's kind of figured out how you can defend against it and how you can obviously play that kind of style of football. So I think they definitely need a new right back. I also think they do need another CDM. I think it's quite a bold statement that I've just made there, but however, Rodri, I don't know when watching the highlights today, Rodri just doesn't see himself. And I know a lot of people disagree with what I'm saying, and I also don't want to believe it as well because I do rate Rodri as a player, and Rodri is a fantastic CDM, the best in the world. However, I think his legs are starting to go. There were elements in that game where he wasn't as strong and as powerful as he normally is on a football pitch. However, obviously he's come back from that injury, so he could turn it around when he gets to his best there. So I could just be jumping the gun here. I think I might be. However, I do think they might need to get another backup for Rodri because the way that he was playing today wasn't at his normal best. That's the best way to put it, really. I think that Haaland as well looked quite shy in front of goal. Obviously, he got his goal, and obviously, it is Erling Haaland, so I expect him to get over 20 plus goals this season. However, I think Brighton dealt with him very well. Lewis Dunk especially had him there didn't really let him go out of his sights. Obviously, he got his goal, but after his goal, all Haaland did was kind of really be in Lewis Dunk's pocket, because I didn't really see him get much involved in the game. And obviously, Brighton to go and win in the 89th minute, well, fair play to them. Well done to them. So that's obviously disappointing for Manchester City, and obviously it's not looking pretty for them to be starting 13th place, whilst you've got the likes of Leeds ahead of them, Manchester United, who apparently obviously are having a poor season by their standards, and obviously 4 points for them. Burnley are on equal points with them. It's quite. Who would have thought that? Burnley are on the same points as Manchester City after 3 games. It's a crazy game, and with that Manchester derby coming up, the first game back after the international break for both sides, I think this Manchester derby is probably one of the most well-anticipated derbies we've ever had for a couple of seasons now. I think obviously United could definitely win it if they play well, and Cunha's back with Mbeumo as well. And also Manchester City could play. Man City could absolutely turn up and absolutely boss the pitch and destroy Manchester United. But then United could also do the same thing. So step up, let City have the possession, hit them on the break, take the chances. So it sets it up for a really, really interesting Manchester derby on the 14th of September. So yeah, and obviously moving on to the main fixture of the day, Liverpool versus Arsenal. Obviously 1-0 to Liverpool after a fantastic Szoboszial free kick. I was sat there watching the game today, and I was like, this isn't going in. There's no way this is going in. And the person I was watching it with, he said, I've seen it happen. And wow, what a strike by Dominic Szoboszial. Well done. Honestly, I've not seen a free kick that good since the Marcus Rashford one against Chelsea. I think it was about 35 yards out or something, with that much power to get it past Raya, probably arguably the best goalkeeper in the league, and to obviously score. It was such a beautiful goal. It was amazing. And obviously that sets them up 2 points clear of the league, 2 points clear of second place Chelsea. My breath was taken away when that's gone in. I was so shocked. What a goal. So great victory for Liverpool. Sets them 2 points clear of the league, 2 points clear of Chelsea. Need to build off it. I doubt Liverpool. I can't see Liverpool dropping any points really. The only place where I can see Liverpool dropping points could be away at Chelsea, away at Arsenal, possibly Tottenham if they have a good. I mean, Thomas Frank does look. I mean, they lost, but Thomas Frank looks like he's got them playing some good football. Everton, it's always a tricky game there. Obviously, the first Merseyside derby at the new stadium. Possibly Manchester United. I know people might be laughing, but you look at last year when Ruben Amorim took Manchester United to Anfield, everyone expected a battering for them, but they got a 2-2 draw. Man United probably deserved to win the game if Maguire took his chance. Man City away or at home, you never know what might happen. Newcastle, obviously they've played them, but they could at Anfield. Newcastle could turn up and absolutely destroy them. Who knows what happens? The Premier League is a crazy league. Anything could happen. They could even lose to Fulham or something miraculous like that. But obviously 2 points on top of the table, and it's looking good for them. Arne Slot's got them playing the football amazing again. It has just gone full time in the Aston Villa game. They have lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace. Still a lot of thinking for Unai Emery and Aston Villa as a club with this international break going, sitting 19th in the league. Obviously with that 1 point, only Wolves losing all 3 games, sat on 0 points. So it's very interesting. And just a quick mention as well for the three newly promoted sides. Sunderland 6th place with 2 wins, Leeds 12th on 4 points, and Burnley 14th with 3 points. Bottom 3 is Wolves, Villa, and Fulham, and Newcastle and West Ham. Newcastle on 2 points in 17th, and West Ham in 16th on 3 points. So it's quite a. No, I don't think a lot of people have expected that, especially Villa and Fulham to be that low, and Newcastle. I would have expected Newcastle to be probably where Bournemouth are, 7th in the league. But obviously, it's very early on, only 3 games played, international break next week. So we'll see how things happen there. But yeah, just to go back to the Liverpool versus Arsenal game, just mention about Madueke. Madueke for Arsenal looked amazing in that game. There was some points of the game where he was getting the better of Kirkez. Kirkez as well, brilliant performance from him. He was basically just getting the better of Kirkez a lot until obviously Kirkez making that recovery tackle, which led to Arsenal corners. Obviously, Declan Rice um, wasn't effective from these corners as he normally is, and as he's shown against United this season. But Arsenal played very well. Obviously, a lot of people were saying that Arsenal were kind of on the back foot, and I think they were. However, I think Arsenal now, to go and try and push for that title, they need to beat Liverpool away, Liverpool at home. Sorry, they need to go and beat the Chelseas, the Cities, the Uniteds when the United go and play them, and not slip up against those smaller clubs. So like slipping up against Fulham if they were to lose there, Everton, or like or an Aston Villa or something as they did a couple of seasons ago. So hopefully, obviously, Arsenal can try and push for that title again. Obviously, not and get back on that horse really, essentially, and not just fall off from obviously and keep dwelling on that loss that they had today. I think they did play amazing, and to be fair, Arsenal could, if they're a bit more clinical, could have easily won that game. Especially if Madueke could have cut back into the box and maybe got a shot off his right or on his left, depending on which way obviously he went. And I think also Gyökeres as well had quite a few chances. If Gyökeres gets those shots away, you never know what might have happened. They could have obviously been in the back of the net. But yeah, obviously Liverpool top of the league, City falling to 13th, United 9th. Decent result against Burnley, it seems now. And yeah, obviously Piastri winning the Grand Prix next week. I think is the the race in Italy. So fingers crossed for a Ferrari win there. And yeah, that is it. That is it for today. See you on a bit.